Well, we're now officially in autumn. On Tuesday 22nd of September at 2:30 p.m. we had the autumn equinox. Basically it means that at 2:30 both hemispheres, the southern and northern, had equal amount of daylight and darkness. And so that's it. The nights are drawing in, it's getting colder. I have my fleeces ready to wrap the plants that need to be wrapped from now on in. There's still plenty of work to do on the allotment. We've got to make sure that we get as many weeds out as possible, clear the areas. My cabbages I've still got left, they're going to be frozen. And a really good way of that is to blanch them, as you know. Chop them into quarters, put them in salty water to start with to kill any pests off. Then blanch them, then cool them down and freeze them in quarters because it holds them together, unless of course you know exactly what you're doing with them, and then you can slice them and chop them up in the way that you need them. Obviously chopping and slicing means you use less room in your freezers. It's up to you, but you can do that. You can see behind me that everything's fleeced. That's where my garlic and my onions are. Also my spring bulbs are in there too. I've not yet planted my peas. They're going to go in the next few days. I'm just going to clear a patch, an area that hasn't had peas in before. Although I have discovered I have a few pea plants growing and they've got a couple of flowers on, so maybe in the next few days I might get some autumn pea pods. I'm here by the side of my broccoli plant and I'm just amazed by it because it's only been, the little broccoli head here, it's only been growing for about a week and a half and it's already quite big in diameter. It's a real quickly growing food. Once it gets the leaves it just sets off and it really produces what is looking like a really tasty plant in the middle. And well, if you imagine at the supermarket this little plant here will be worth at least 50p. A packet of seeds is about £2 at most and you get 40 odd plus seeds in, so it's well worth trying to grow at home. I've been amazed at how easy it is to grow actually. Probably far easier than the cabbages and the sprouts. It's just, you know. So I seem to be overrun at the moment with well, all varieties of cabbages and broccolis and sprouts. We've got quite a lot of them. A brassica family, aren't they? But where did they come from? Well, broccoli is fascinating because, and cabbages in fact if you look at this history, and sprouts, because they're nothing like the original plant they came from. If you tried to find wild broccoli, you'd never find it. Or maybe wild cabbage or wild sprouts. Having said that, you could find wild cabbage, or you used to be able to find wild cabbage. And it definitely even looked like a cabbage at all. I'll show you, here's the photograph. Isn't it amazing? Look at that, beautiful flowers and little yellow flowers. Well, the Etruscans, about 100 BC, even beyond, were the forerunners of the Romans in the Roman Empire. They were amazing peoples, and what they were very, very good at were plants. They were skilled plantsmen, and they prized the cabbage, the wild cabbage, for its beautiful hardiness and its tolerance to salt. But it wasn't enough. The flowers didn't give them enough sustenance and they wanted more bulk. And so what they did, they bred them. They bred them, believe it or not, with kale. And if you look at this broccoli here, you can tell that it is quite kale-like, the curly leaves. And yes, they were bred. And eventually, over time, those yellow flowers started to be taken over by, of course, the leaves. However, they then produced 3 or 4 different plants from the wild cabbage. So we have here in front of me the broccoli. So take broccoli for example, what they did is they bred the flowers into the broccoli head. So if you look actually, the broccoli itself, when we pick it and eat it, are tiny, minute little flowers. And they're those yellow flowers transported into a broccoli head. And the cabbage, believe it or not, this came originally from that lovely yellow flowers. Because what they did is they bred the flowers out and took the leaves. And you have different varieties now of leaves, but they all came originally from that wild cabbage. And then of course we talk about broccoli. Now what they did with that is they bred large stalks, and the flowers they turned onto the side of the stems, and they turned in, of course, to the buds, and the buds then developed into the sprouts. And so from one plant we have, of course, the broccoli, the cabbages of all description, and the sprouts. Part of course, the brassica family. And of course, they're mixed with the mustard family, we know that. But they were selectively bred because those flowering buds originally every 2 years, and that's why they wanted to develop the plants. And nowadays, well, they're trying to develop a new broccoli, and it's called Beneforte. So it has all the ingredients of broccoli, but it just makes it more compact, it makes it more viable, I suppose, but it packs it with vitamins and nutrients. But that's genetically modified. How do you feel about genetically modifying plants? I mean, really, if we look back 100 BC, they were doing it then. You know, around the world, people were. The Hopi Indians, remember, when they got their sunflowers, their black sunflowers, and they changed them, they modified them. It's been going on for centuries, but maybe not with chemicals, just with pure skill and understanding of a plant. Isn't it fantastic that these plants surrounding me here come from one beautiful flower? Now, the Chinese and India at the moment, they are the biggest producer of broccoli. 70% of the world's broccoli comes from those two areas. And in every food, we either love it or we hate it. But there, I present to you the history, although potted, of the humble broccoli. I hope you enjoyed the little history there of the broccoli. Well, or should I say, the wild cabbage flowers. Beautiful yellow flowers, weren't they fantastic? Well, I'm here with my tomatoes, just checking them out and taking off the ones that are ripe enough to eat. And talking about tomatoes again, because we're off to Rotherham to see Dawn. And look at Dawn's tomatoes still filling the greenhouse with beautiful green leaves and of course an abundance of tomatoes. They're looking fabulous, Dawn. And also, I know people are already asking you the variety of the tomatoes grown. So let us know and we'll pass it on to people, our viewers here on Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment. I will be talking you through some of my varieties that I've used on the allotment over the next few weeks and into next year. So if you want to, you can buy the seeds and the plants that grow and work. It's always good to have recommendations, isn't it? I love the cucumbers we've grown here on the allotment this year. They've been called Beth and they've been prolific. We've had cucumbers off every single day. We've been able to come down throughout the summer and pick one off. I've got 3 plants, that's all, and it's provided us with enough cucumbers to keep my family happy, which is great, isn't it? And so have the tomatoes and the lettuces, of course. Well, thanks for once again for watching Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. If you enjoy these shows, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's really simple. Press a button. It's all for free and no to pay, and then you get a little ding every time I post a new Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures. Or just type in jesgrows.com and that'll take you straight to the channel. You've all of the back catalogue to look through. Help yourself, they're all there. And well, sit down with a cup of tea and watch a few of the episodes. Once again, it's been lovely seeing you and great having you on the allotment. And well, as we say in Yorkshire, ta-ra for now.